All you have to do is walk up to her, tell her you're interested, and give her your number. And don't ask for her phone or anything, just write it down on a little piece of paper and just give it to her. And I guarantee that if you use this method, you're gonna get a better response because they already know now that you respect them enough.
You heard it here first, guys. From now on, all you have to do is simply write down your number on a piece of paper and start handing it out to women like you're a street salesman. Apparently, it's really that easy. But what she didn't mention is to also bring a broom and rubbish bag, so you can have an easier time picking up all of the worthless pieces of paper you handed out that got dropped 30 seconds later. Anyway, to avoid wasting your time, I'll get straight into the video. Here's 3 reasons why, as a man, you should never take any dating advice from a woman. Don't trust anyone, guys. They honestly don't have a clue what they're talking about. Reason number 1. Plain ignorance and a complete lack of perspective. Using this graph you can see on your screen right now, I can explain perfectly why the girl's dating advice from the clip at the beginning is simply awful for the majority of guys. In fact, this more or less summarises 99% of the dating advice currently out there on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook videos, or wherever else. As we can see, for women, most dating advice works for them just fine. Just imagine for a second, if the woman from the clip at the beginning followed her own advice, actually went outside and started handing out her number to random attractive guys. Imagine she did that 100 times. I'd say she'd get a response back from at least 70 or 80 of them. It's almost making it too easy for herself. This is because the vast majority of guys have never been approached in their life, not once. Therefore, for women, this advice is 9 out of 10 for them. Similarly, if a highly attractive man did this, a real top 10% guy, somebody who's tall, muscular, good hair, jawline, etc., I'd say he'd get maybe 20 to 30 responses. Therefore, this advice will also be 9 out of 10 for the top 10% guys. Now let's take a look at the final category, any guy who's average to below average in looks. I promise, if any man like this simply walked up to 100 girls, gave out his number and nothing else, he'd end up with a grand total of 0 responses. At best, he'd get a few sympathy texts or kind gestures. Nothing serious would ever ensue. And because of this, he'd likely be left feeling frustrated and unwanted. So, back to the original question. Why has this woman uploaded this TikTok thinking it's sound advice, when in reality, it has little to no value for most men? The reason is because most women out there have no idea about what it's like to date as a man in the modern dating world. Therefore, they're not able to distinguish between what works for them may have no impact if done exactly the same by an average man. It's no different than the fact a rich man can never truly empathise with a poor man if he has never actually experienced it. Just like Marie Antoinette said to the poor who was starving, if there's no bread, instead, let them eat cake. Here's another example. Just take a look at this Reddit post, posted by a woman titled, "To all men who think they are ugly." It reads, "As a woman, and many of my female friends, I can say appearance is one of the last things we are looking at. We as females are usually attracted to confidence, helpfulness, and kindness. Hope this helps." Guys, the sheer lack of perspective here is baffling. And if you are fooled into believing this, just remember that the truth is always revealed through data and actions, never words. Fact. Banks only accept male candidates who are 5'10" or above in height. Fact. Looks was shown to be the most important determinant for a man's success in speed dating studies. And this is despite women saying it carried the least amount of weight. Fact. The average toy length is 2 inches longer than the Western average. These are the real pieces of data that matter. And no, not any studies based on surveys or questionnaires where they ask women's opinions about what matters most. This will always get you lies as answers. Anyway, that's the first reason. And now I've got this out the way, now is a good time to press the like button and leave your thoughts in the comments below so far, as it helps the YouTube algorithm. Now moving on to reason 2. Virtue signalling. This reason is different from the first. The first reason suggested women aren't aware of the fact they're misleading men and is innocent. Meanwhile, this second point is much darker. It's saying women are aware of what they're attracted to, but choosing to spread delusion instead. I'll start off this point by asking, would you ever ask a fish how to catch a fish? Well, no, of course not. So why do so many guys ask the women in their lives how to date women? If anything, asking a woman for dating advice is likely to lead to the opposite results, as she'll want to make it harder for you. Taking dating advice from a woman is the same as her giving you a shovel. You think you're digging deeper into a connection, but really you're only digging yourself into a deeper hole. Guys, if you take dating advice from a woman, expect it to be blue-pilled. Women don't want to tell men the truth. I'll continue with the fishing example. You know how fishermen sometimes throw out food shortly after casting their rod to attract any nearby fish? Well, your food is your attention and validation, the fish is the girl you're trying to date, you yourself is the fisherman, and the fishing rod you're using, your fishing rod is held together by twigs and duct tape because that's exactly what the fish told you to use. Don't you see, guys, if you take dating advice from a woman, you're being fooled. The girl in your life is benefiting as she's able to get all your attention and validation for free, meanwhile you're there getting frustrated as your desires aren't even coming close to your expectations. On top of this, you're wasting your time, energy, and God forbid, money, thinking it's going to get you somewhere, when in reality it has zero return on investment. Anyway, this sums up the second reason. I hope this analogy I've used has helped you out. Now moving on to the third and final reason for why women give shocking dating advice. Reason number 3, e-fame. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. It really wouldn't surprise me if these women know themselves that deep down, the quality of dating advice they're giving out to men is abysmal. And instead, they're deliberately putting on a rainbow-coloured mask in order to appease two groups. Firstly, their followers, and second, their platform regulators. I'll start with the followers. Guys, in my video, 8 reasons why women think they're a 10, I said the biggest reason by far for why this is happening is simping. Everyone should know by now that there is a simp epidemic going on. And the point is, these content creators who are giving advice know if they tell feel-good, nice-sounding theories on their channels, their audience, most of whom are these spoken about simps, are going to soak all of it up like a sponge. Of course low-value men are going to go wild if an attractive girl gives them hopeful and blue-pill advice on TikTok. I've said it in the past and I'll say it again. Dreams sell, the truth doesn't. Just imagine for 1 second, if creators started preaching similar beliefs to what I talk about on my channel, what would happen? Well, I could name a few. It will lead to outrage in the comment sections by butthurt men who refuse to accept simple facts, a far lower like to view ratio, more dislikes, a potential spike in user reporting, a decline in return viewership, all of which will hurt the algorithm and lead to less promotion. Therefore, these content creators are deliberately giving pleasant sounding advice in order to build e-fame. How about the platform regulators side? Well, I'll start off by saying that any of the terms you see on your screen right now will lead to any TikTok channel getting flat out banned. YouTube is less strict, but there are theories out there about this platform suppressing controversial content creators. Anyway, the point is, speaking controversial opinions is hardly an effective strategy in terms of building e-fame. And what's the big deal about e-fame? Well, have you ever noticed on Tinder how many girls have "follow my Insta" in their bio? Meanwhile, literally no men include that. It's because of attention. Women desire far more external validation and attention than men do. As guys, we're content to keep ourselves to ourselves, relax, play video games, focus on one thing at a time. Meanwhile, women have a much bigger desire to be sociable and compete for attention. This is why on TikTok, the majority of content creators are women. Even for real-world jobs, men are far more likely to be truckers, software developers, engineers, and so on, which often involve long hours alone. In fact, pictured on the right of your screen now are the top 10 most male-dominated jobs. And I wouldn't consider any of these to be sociable at all. Meanwhile, for women, they often have jobs like teachers, secretaries, retailers, where there's a constant social interaction going on. Here are the top 10 most female-dominated jobs. all of which I would say have a significant social element involved. This shows social interaction and attention is far more important for women than it is for men. This is why they're more likely to create TikTok pages and do whatever it takes to build it, even if it means spreading misinformation to guys in order to maximise their growth. I'm going to try something completely new on my channel now. I recently posted a poll to my community page asking what content you the viewer want to see in future. And as you can see, solutions were by far the most requested. So for the remainder of this video, I'm going to be discussing a little bit of this. Here's some solutions relating to the topic we've been talking about. If you're a guy genuinely looking for dating advice right now, who should you look towards? What people should you ask? Well, so far we've established that you shouldn't ask women. How about other groups? How about the guys in your social circle? Well, going back to the fishing example, would it be a good idea to ask your rival fisherman on how to catch fish? I hope you agree with me that of course not. This is a terrible idea. Why would your competition give you the answers when you're all competing for the same pool of women? So don't ask women, don't ask your competition. In fact, don't even ask a Chad who's successful with dating, because he won't know any better. That'd be like asking a rich man who's inherited his wealth on how to become a millionaire. Or like asking a 7-foot basketball player on how he is able to dunk so easily. Instead, if you're genuinely looking for serious dating advice, you have a few options. 1. Asking an average looks guy or someone who's similar in looks to yourself, who most importantly is already in a long-term, successful and committed relationship. This way he won't be tempted to mislead any competition as he's not actually in the dating market at that point. 2. Another good option, which is a little harder to find, use online forums like the ones listed here or Discord servers such as mine, which we'll have a link in the description below by the way. However, the only issue with this is that it does require you to be able to correctly identify and eliminate any counterproductive advice. Lastly, 3, any authentic content creators, but none who are trying to sell you a course or program. As I've talked about in my previous videos, most of these are trying to sell you lies and hope in order to keep you trapped in their corrupt system. Then when you fail, you're told to buy even more programs or courses. So these are my solutions, but still, with these 3 things being said, I still think the biggest source of information by far should be from within yourself. In my opinion, a lot of figuring out the social aspects of dating comes from trial and error and experience. And I'm mainly talking to the members of my audience who are in the normie or average looks range here, where your non-looks related SMV comes most into play. If this is you, I'd say it'd be best to start talking to more people, find topics you think both yourself and other people would enjoy talking about. My go-tos are social media and music, and then when you get more comfortable, try building and flirting so you can distinguish between what works and what's inappropriate. And if you don't have many people to talk to, you can still practice these skills with store workers, receptionists, waitresses, and so on. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, I trust myself more than anyone, and you should too, and it's far better to build social knowledge through yourself and experience rather than watching 50 different YouTubes about it. So that's the video, and these are my 3 reasons and various solutions. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to press the like button and leave any thoughts you have in the comments below.